moving on to our first segment of the day, we're going to be talking about reframing English language. Welcome and good morning to Mr. Gana Kumaran Subramaniam. Thank you so much for coming to the studio today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
How's your Monday looking up today?
Well, Monday was terrible. I thought I might not get here because of the traffic, but managed to sort of squeeze through a few cars and get in.
Are you a Chelsea fan by any chance?
No, but I'm glad they won.
You're glad they won. So you're not a Tottenham Hotspur fan either.
All right. So the thing is, the concern with commanding English language has been always a major concern among our students and of course among job seekers as well. We've seen how a lot of people get turned away or lose out on job opportunities because they can't quite master the language. So how does the new environment units and new solutions can actually help tackle this situation?
Well, I think it's time, and I think a lot of parties are beginning to see that the situation that we are in needs a different solution. We cannot keep going back to the same approaches in dealing with the problems that we have now arrived at. Fundamentally, we need to look at the problems from a different perspective, a new frame of looking at things. I mean, you guys in the media know about how to frame your shots, right? So similarly, I think we need to look at a different perspective in looking at this problem, and then we probably will arrive at a different solution because the context has changed. The students who are studying English are different from the times of their teachers. And the environment is also quite different because the demand for the language, whether you like it or not, has become increasingly greater. And that's why you get employers and everybody else complaining that students who are coming out of the system are not able to perform adequately well in the language.
When we look at teachers today who are teaching English, they're given a guideline by their bosses, by the Ministry of Education, presume, and they're delivering this guideline to the students who are learning English. I admit it's a lot tougher than when we were in school, but still they don't seem to be performing very well because the students that are being put out, as Leh has said, they're not really ready for the job market, they can't really converse. So what is being done wrong? I mean, if it's already tougher than when we were in school, they should be doing something better.
Well, I think we have to be realistic when we start picking on teachers. We also have to be realistic. They are a product of a system, and the system perpetuated the growth of individuals with relatively limited command of the language. So there's no choice but to take people who come out of the system to put into teacher education and then make them teachers. So we already have that problem emerging. And then to top that up, as you pointed out yourself, students are very different today. Gen Y is completely different. The way Gen Y wants to learn is completely different from what, as you say, teachers are trained to teach, or how they are trained to teach, the approach. So there needs to be a relooking, and that's why this reframing concept becomes very important, that we need to look at it from a different perspective. The students are different, hence the approaches need to be different, the methods need to be different in addressing and in motivating students to learn the language.
So how different is it really, reframing the whole teaching of English? What are you doing?
I think in our conference we are initiating thinking around this concept. I mean, we cannot solve everything at the conference. What we're trying to do is we're trying to explore and examine teacher education, for instance. We're trying to get teachers and stakeholders to come together to discuss what is the problem, where is the problem coming from, who can address this, how can we collectively work towards a solution. We've got sort of very positive response from the Ministry of Education. They're very supportive. The conference itself, the keynote address will be presented by the Director General of Education. So we've run two conferences, one in KL and one in Kuching this time around. And the Kuching conference will be opened by the Deputy Director General of Education. So it shows that the ministry itself is very supportive of all parties who are looking to support, sort of the ministry address these problems.
the bigger emphasis would have to be placed on those children in the rural areas, especially when their parents are not really well versed in English. How do you tend to bridge the gap between the two?
Yeah, so essentially I think what we need to look at is we need to look at a solution that's beyond just that 40 minutes in the class or 30 minutes in the class. We need to come up with a system where students receive relatively more exposure to the language, right? And are able to use. See, language can only survive when it's used.
Yeah.
You know, when language stops being used, you know, it just disappears from our active memory. And so we need to provide the opportunity, not just within the 30 minutes in the class, but find some space, maybe during co-curricular activities, maybe doing other things where the children can actually begin to use the language. And of course, the new media, you know, the internet, social media, are things that students are already engaged with.
Right.
So we need to see how we can bring those things within the frame of teaching.
What's your thoughts on translated cartoons? I mean, that's how we learned cartoons back then.
Yeah,
we knew no word of English when I was like 5. And now, that was how we learned back then. You know, we watched Gem and He-Man, Thundercats and all that.
They're all in
but
English.
now, even SpongeBob has been translated to Malay, so that kind of like deters the
Yeah,
process.
I think it's that's a business decision, I suppose, you know, to translate so that your outreach is greater, more people are watching. But when we talk about learning English, they're not going to help.
Right.
What happens is that it creates a dependence of people watching that, or even, you know, a lot of people watch English programs reading the subtitles, not hearing a single word that's being said. You know, so the ears are closed, the eyes are very widely open.
Yeah. Subtitles.
Yeah.
So there is this gap, as they have pointed out. There are parents who support the old system of having just one subject in English, and there are parents that support the new system that was introduced recently and now is being pulled back. Of course, 3 subjects in English. So how do you convince people that one is better than the other? What kind of statistics would you show? What kind of arguments would you make to tell these parents that, you know, students need more hours of English?
Yes, I think fundamentally, again, the point that I made, language can only survive, can only thrive if it is used and in a meaningful context. So learning language from a perspective of a very dry sense of learning the grammar, learning, you know, basic structures of it, but not being able to use it in a functional context doesn't really help. So you need other opportunities. I'm not saying we should go back to maths and science, but you need to provide students you know, a reason why they need to learn the language and use it for a functional purpose.
So pretty much broaden the avenue for them to
yes,
grasp
absolutely,
the language.
absolutely. Yeah.
So Melta is on the table. What is Melta's contribution going to be towards supporting the development of English education?
Well, Melta has been around for a long time. I mean, it can be traced back to 1958.
Wow.
And so we've been doing a lot of things. I mean, if you visit our website, www.melta.org.my, you will see the range of things that we do. We do work with children, we do work with teachers, we do work with corporate organizations, we do very academic work, but we also do fun things with kids. We've got games and activities that we do. So we are an NGO. We don't get any grants from anyone, right? So we have been surviving based on, you know, some strategic partnership that we've built with some corporate organizations for, you know, individual events. We've been doing quite a lot of things. We've got about 16 chapters around the country. And these chapters run workshops and seminars for teachers based on the needs at that environment. Because, you know, we cannot predetermine what the needs are, so they decide and we support them. So similarly, this conference, for instance, is an annual affair. And uniquely, I think Melta would be the only organization to run in a year more than one conference at close successions, like this one, 28-29 May in KL, and then 7-8 June in Kuching. So the reason why we do this is because we want to take expertise to local settings, because to expect teachers from Sarawak or teachers from Sabah or from Kelantan or Terengganu to come to KL is a big challenge for them. It's very expensive for them to come and spend 2-3 days here, and so on. So what we do is we take it to their localities, and we find that teachers are very grateful for that opportunity.
So what kind of support did Sarawak Convention Bureau provide in organizing your conference?
Right. I think, I mean, if anyone's thinking of organizing a conference, I think they need to seriously consider Sarawak as a venue, because Sarawak Convention Bureau are fantastic people. You know, they're a small group of people who provide you support right from the time you bid for a conference, right, to the time you finish the event. So they don't let go of you. They're always there for you to fall back on. And I would think, you know, honestly, that they should be the benchmark for other convention bureaus, because I think they've also received international recognition for the work that they do.
Wow.
Yeah.
And Sarawak is one of the largest states. It is the largest state in Malaysia. You know, with schools dispersed all over the place. What was the response that you got from the educators who were there at the conference?
Okay, for example, this conference, when we began thinking of going back to Sarawak, actually we've gone back 4 times to Sarawak over the last 10 years. Why? Because we find that the Sarawak teachers, the Sarawak Education Department, the Sarawak state government itself is very, very supportive of education projects. They're looking at advancing education in the state. So the state education department is very, very helpful. They disseminated the information to all the schools. They have now got together a large number of teachers who are going to attend the event. And the teachers themselves, are fantastic. When they come in, they're very hungry for new knowledge and new skills. But as I mentioned, we also run event for children at the conference. So this time around, we've got an event called the Way with Words competition. It's a literacy competition, a bit of spelling, a bit of sentence construction, a bit of playing with words. This time around, we've got about 35 schools taking part in this competition. So it's amazing the kind of response that we get. And that's why I think we keep going back to Sarawak, because the support is tremendous.
In fact, Sarawak is one of those states that never ceases to surprise me. I mean, they have the top performing primary school in the country in Sarawak. So they're really working hard on improving themselves, even regardless of their geographic conditions where everyone's dispersed.
And baby steps towards, getting this dream to materialize. What would you suggest to teachers and parents as, small steps to ensure that, we are getting there?
Yeah, I think the important thing is to work together. We need to build a community of people who are interested in education, who are supporting each other towards it. It's no point in us picking on the other party, right? But to find ways in which we can help. And for teachers, I think teachers need to relax a bit and not be so afraid of public support, parental support, because at the end of the day, the goal is to advance the children's learning. And if we work together, I think that's very, very achievable.
Well, the website to visit is melta.org.my.
Yes.
Do check them out and find out when the next conference is going to be held. You already heard the dates, 28th, 29th, and 7th and 8th of June.
Yes. All right, thank you, Mr. Gana. It was a pleasure having you in the studio. Of course, teachers make learning English as fun as possible. That's how we survived. That's
how we survived. And cartoons, those who actually put the cartoons out there.
Yes.
There's no need to translate it. I mean, it's fun the way it is.
It's the 6th language that we understand.
I mean, how funny is SpongeBob in Malay?